So as you know, this conversation marks the beginning of SAMARTH Stories, a series we are co-creating with Automation Industry Association to celebrate the people behind India's manufacturing transformation. A series that reminds that smart manufacturing is not just about machines, systems and technology, but about humans, their values, their journeys and their philosophies. And we felt there was no better way to begin this series than by starting with you, sir. Because your journey from your early days as an engineer to decades of industry leadership to shaping ecosystems like Automation Industry Association and Foundation for Smart Manufacturing captures the very essence of what SAMARTH Stories stand for. So today is not just the first episode, it is the foundation of this entire series. And we are honored to begin the journey with your story, sir. We are especially grateful for your openness, trust and belief that conversations around manufacturing must go beyond technology and include people, philosophy and purpose. Sir, we are beginning this conversation at IIT Delhi, a place where you spent some of your most formative years as an engineering student and today as a collaborator shaping India's smart manufacturing movement. How does it feel to start this dialogue in a space that connects both your learning years and your current work?
Firstly, Tabish, it's my privilege to be talking about Samarth Udyog, and I'm also very happy that we are doing this episode in IIT because in a way the whole institutions of IITs, the purpose behind it was to create Samarth engineers to build the nation.
Right.
And this IIT at that time when I joined, it was 1970, was the youngest of the 5 IITs. Which is the original lot of IITs. Of course, now there are many more. And this was the ground on which my foundation as an engineer also took place.
Right.
So it's been many years, 50 years of graduation. A long innings.
Yeah.
I don't know whether the past was exciting or the future is going to be exciting.
Yeah, sure.
But all the same, I'm happy to be here talking to you.
Thank you so much, sir. And if we rewind completely long before your engineering or leadership, what early moments shaped you as a person? What are your earliest childhood memories?
My earliest childhood memories are actually of my father, who was groomed in one of the best engineering colleges at that time, the Thompson College of Engineering, which now has become IIT Roorkee.
Yeah.
And the seed of excellence, perfection, diligence, getting down to the detail, being observant, I think were some things which got naturally into my DNA.
Yeah.
So I think that's a gift I received from him.
Right.
And also blended in my childhood was a great sense of simplicity and purpose, because even as I saw his career and he rose right to the top, I found him very straight, very simple, down to earth. And that's something I kind of just also ingrained. Of course, I had the privilege of going to the best schools, both my primary, my higher school, St. Xavier's, initially Calcutta and then Delhi. Another formative and important aspect of my life was being in hostel, initially in school itself, and here in IIT it was compulsory to be in the hostel.
Right.
And that's where I think the foundation of coming out of the comfort of home, family support, parental guidance into deciding your own way forward, how you would deal with different situations, with different kind of peer groups, how you would balance studies with extracurricular
Absolutely.
distractions.
Yeah.
And IIT had the whole mix of, everything.
Everything. Yeah.
So I think that's the kind of foundation which I
Right.
built my life on.
So when you joined IIT Delhi in 1970s, IIT Delhi was only 10 to 12 years old then, still a young institute. Did it feel like institute still defining itself or already a mature institute?
Yeah, it was pretty young, so it was defining itself. As I said earlier, it was the youngest of the IITs.
Yeah.
And therefore, it had to prove.
Yeah.
And there were certain indicators whether we were doing well, whether we had come up to the same level as IIT Kanpur, IIT Bombay, etc.
Yeah.
So one criteria was the aspiration of the students entering, which they would prefer to go.
Yeah.
And I think that had by and large evened out. There were certain disciplines which were popular in Kanpur, which was, I think at that time, electronics, because they had a lot of computer science there.
Right.
But we came up very fast. I remember when I was in the second or third year, we set up a full-fledged computer center, which you can see even now.
Okay.
It was a huge building devoted entirely to computers. So we caught up in that.
From thousands of transistors to billions today. So your engineering years coincided with birth of microprocessors 4004, 8008, 8080. So if you look back, this is one invention that has changed the course of engineering. At the time, it may not have felt revolutionary, but today it sits inside everything from your phones to factories, including artificial intelligence. As someone who lived through that transition, did you sense back then that engineering was about to enter a new phase, a transformational phase?
Definitely, because one of the major decisions taken in our curriculum at that time was not to teach us about vacuum tubes.
Okay.
And introduce transistors. We kind of felt that as a major policy change from our batch, and that's how we got into electronics. By the time we finished, while we had an electrical degree, but most of my courses were related to electronics, including digital electronics. So that had captured the whole imagination of microprocessors, software-based systems, process control.
Right.
And in a way that also prepared me for automation industry. The same technology, as you said, the 8-bit processors had come even in process control systems.
Yeah.
And every couple of years we found that, the 16-bit, the next generation, the next generation.
Correct.
So yeah, it kind of prepared us technically. It also prepared us psychologically to be aware that there would be obsolescence.
Going back to one of your reflections on LinkedIn, sir, you wrote that learning must be munched, chewed, and digested, not rushed like fast food. Did that philosophy begin during your IIT days? The slow learning?
At school itself,
Yeah.
because there was a lot of practice involved if you had to get 100% in maths.
Yeah.
And you can't get it by overnight study. So, to be able to develop the speed and the confidence and the diligence to get things right first time, I think was a habit. So I would say chewing, munching, digesting is something which you do when you enjoy.
Correct.
Yeah, and there's no rush also means that your mind is uncluttered. You're focused.
Right.
You're not trying to balance too many agendas at the same time.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, that all kind of got built in even before IIT.
So students today have internet, YouTube and AI assistants. What was learning like in an era when there were no computers, no internet, no instant information? Did that limitation cultivate a deeper thinking and observation in you?
No, really, we never felt the absence of internet because we didn't even know what it meant. But there was a whole range of periodicals, books, and other stuff which was housed in the library.
Right.
And as you can see, on the right side there is a building,
Right.
which is the Central Library of IIT.
Yeah.
Again, a complete building by itself.
Yeah.
In our time, this building was not up. It was a smaller library, but all said, there was enough material there
Yeah.
in terms of publications and supported books.
Yeah.
We never felt short of anything.
Looking at young students today rushing to finish degrees and certifications, what advice would you give to them? How can they rediscover that slow and meaningful learning in this fast world?
It's a very powerful question. I think it's not only for students. The art of slowing down is not really much in practice because slowing down is not seen as a virtue.
Right.
We all seem to be caught up in a race,
Right.
where you have to run faster and faster.
Yeah.
But I think with age and wisdom, you realize that you don't have to run anywhere. You have to conquer by being still. And stillness puts you in touch with the entire range of energy, the entire cosmos.
Correct.
We as individuals are just a speck of dust. We have a connection with the rest of the universe.
Correct.
And it is through that connection that we find meaning and we find the understanding of the life force. For that, you do need to be still. Slowing down helps you do that. Taking a pause also is a very small but effective step.
Right.
So that can easily be taught to students.
In one of your reflections on LinkedIn, you spoke about egoless living and finding joy beyond the I am great mindset. Did hostel life teach you humility, collaboration, and shared identity? And how important is egoless thinking in leadership?
Well, I wouldn't say this concept was there in the hostel days. Yeah, camaraderie, doing things together, being flexible in accommodating, the different mindsets. When you get into any group activity, you have to accommodate so many ideas and you can't just have it your own way. And nobody likes you if you are the one who's always calling the shots.
Correct.
So I think what it taught me was flexibility, adjustability, and yet being able to put your foot down if you thought, you were being asked to cross the line. Egoless living is a very deep introspection. It's an ongoing process. It's definitely connected to humility and gratitude. Uh, but it's a very, very inward journey. But in the time we joined IIT and during IIT, I think we had our own collective ego for sure. And it's only when you realize that ego builds a wall with others that you are willing to suspend it. And at a much deeper level, ego also brings with it a lot of misery. It brings a lot of pressure.
Right.
Because ego is not about superiority only. Ego is about being separate from somebody else. So that nobody likes to be in a space of being isolated or separateness. So I think the understanding of ego also goes through a change, and part of my other inputs from the AIA Foundation has also helped me to understand how this whole phenomena arises and then how it's possible to let it dissolve. Because it's an artificial creation, and artificiality has its own limitations and boundaries. So I think there is a joy in surrendering this myth or illusion of being separate. And that applies not only between us and human beings, between us and the plants, and between us and the whole of life as such.
Correct. So we are living in an era of digital transformation or a transformational era. Is ego the biggest barrier to organizational transformation?
If you look at ego as part of the belief systems or the areas of blindness, I would say yes.
Yeah.
It certainly contributes to delay in organizational transformation, because an organization, you have to be we. The I is not so important, and that process takes a lot of time. We say digital has brought technology and can connect everybody. It can connect information, but does it connect at a deeper level, a human level? I would say no. Technology cannot help you connect at a deeper level. Not the external technology. It's your own wisdom which will allow you to connect to a deeper sense of space and vastness, where you allow others to also blossom and grow. Transformation, loosely we can say, you can change all the exterior and say I have transformed a building if I put all marble and tiles. But that's not sustainable.
Right.
Organizations are also living organisms.
Correct.
So how they evolve, how they grow. If we just add one dimension, which is when we define growth, we define in terms of projects and outcomes. I think if we just embed an element of human growth there, which is, you can say, an ontological growth. How am I growing as a human? If I don't bring that to my consciousness, I would be doing growth on the exterior side, not on the internal side.
Right.
So I think that's a mistake which often happens when you define organizational growth or team growth, or even personal growth. Because most humans like to talk about their growth in terms of how much salary they are getting, how much incentives they are making, how much of wealth they've acquired and created. But how much they've come closer to their own truth, nobody's talking about it.
Do you believe organizations evolve organically like humans, or can they be updated like softwares? Where does transformation really begin? Is it people, processes, or philosophy?
The people are the ones who bring in the technology or who make good use of the technology. The people are the ones who set up the robust processes.
Correct.
And for scaling up, you need to have a strong process and a strong use of technology. At our personal level, it's more the human element, but at an organizational side, you need the other pillars also. But whether it is the process robustness or adaptivity of the process or the assimilation of a technology which gives you empowered experiences or foolproofs the flow of information, ultimately the intent is of the human. The one who monitors is also human. The one who improves the benchmark is also human.
Correct.
So to that extent, I would say the organization is the next closest involvement we have to our living organism. And more so because we spend, I guess, more time thinking about and working for the organization than the wake-up time we have in our homes.
Lean transformed Toyota because it emerged from a philosophy, not checklists. Do you believe modern smart manufacturing also requires a deeper philosophy to succeed?
I would say any endeavor which you want to succeed and not leave negative side effects requires a conscious understanding and adaptation of some philosophy or the other. So if you look at the Toyota production system and you look at their philosophy, you look at the whole concept of Kaizen, foolproofing, poke-yoke. All these Japanese systems actually talk about growth and respect for humans. So that way it is quite a deep philosophy. It also talks about nurturing, not just protecting the environment.
Right.
So, they being pioneers in green technologies is also explained through that route. I would like more and more people to begin to look at the philosophy, or if not the philosophy, at least the purpose of an enterprise. What is it out to achieve?
Right.
Too often the stock market and too often the evaluators and the investors look at just numbers. Good luck to them.
Yeah. We often talk about digital transformation, Industry 4.2 and CPS, cyber physical systems. But why don't we talk enough about human transformation, the people who create the processes? Is technology overrated and people underrated in change management?
See, it's quite normal for the mind to take its excitement from outside. So technology creates excitement. It's available. It's like a new gadget, a new tool.
Yeah.
We all love to buy new mobile phones. Once every 2-3 years when new products get launched. We change our cars, we change our TVs, we change clothes, because there is a lot of excitement coming which we mistakenly relate to happiness. So this is bound to happen. Technology can be developed by anybody in some other country. If it's available to me, I'd like to use it. So therefore there is this natural rush of the human to follow the mind and say that I'm going to use new technology. Because it sounds esoteric. Today I go to a college and I talk to them about drive controls,
Hmm.
they will not be as excited as, let's say, mixed reality.
Hmm.
So there is a natural pull
Hmm.
of technology,
Correct.
and more so when it's available in your country
Hmm.
and where you can get trained.
Hmm.
So that explains why the current state is as it is. We can talk about systems which are robust. We can talk about technology which is great. But look at the chaos which happened over the airlines just earlier this month.
Yeah.
What anguished the travelers, what made people really complain about was the lack of human touch. Let's talk about driverless cars. Is it really needed in our country? Is it going to be the A priority?
Right.
Or do we need to focus on clean water?
Yeah.
Do we need to focus on non-adulterated food being available? Do we need to focus on our environment and our air quality?
Yeah.
So when you say where does the focus come from? The human side will tell you the focus should come where maximum number of humans are being impacted. So technology can be a great leveler if you look at it that way. Otherwise, it will be a great divider. If you let technology serve only the ones who already have and cater to their comfort, cater to their excitement and their aspirations, you will get an over or an unbalanced drift towards serving a particular segment, and therefore all the natural attention which the financial investors do, the natural attention which policymakers do, all that will also get sort of drifted and skewed in the direction of one segment of society, and therefore neglecting the other sections of society.
Does that mean that implementing a technology or per se lean or continuous improvement requires qualities similar to love, patience, respect and empathy? That's what you say?
Look at quality. It starts from being able to give your 100% to any job. Correct? It's about your being conscious to the acts you're doing, bringing everything into play. It also brings in an act of devotion. For whom am I doing this work? Is it for my customer? Is it for my customer's customer?
Right.
Is it for the nation?
Right.
So when you connect those aspirations, you naturally allow your conscious energy to elevate, to give the best quality.
Yeah.
Look at safety. Look at energy conservation. Look at personalized or customized manufacturing, which is the promise of Industry 4.0. All this boils down to serving somebody else outside and making things happen for him and his experience.
Correct.
So all the business virtues, I would say, of being successful,
correct,
actually start from empathy, start from being devoted for a certain purpose. So it's all there, except that we somewhere tend to mechanize it. Under the garb of technology and systems, we have also mechanized a lot of activities. And we say, oh, my app cannot handle it. I'm sorry, I can't give you this benefit of your confusion because my computer software will not allow it. If you see, some of the great organizations have found ways to do that. They have empowered the customer care department, made it as the centerpiece, not just like a mundane follow-up or a service activity.
right,
And when that happens, you begin to feel, wow, there is a human out there in spite of all the
Technology.
digital systems.
Yeah.
There is somebody who's listening to you, who's
Right.
understanding where you could have also gone wrong,
Yeah.
but doesn't want to penalize you,
Hmm.
has a way to correct things.
Correct.
And that's where I think the relationships happen
Hmm.
in terms of wanting to get wedded to a certain brand.
Hmm.
And those organizations who have been around for many, many years
Hmm.
have all built this brand loyalty,
Correct.
ultimately based on customer preference and customer coming back again and again.
Sir, climate change is perhaps the biggest challenge of our times. Manufacturing is sometimes viewed as being in conflict with the climate goals. How do you personally see the relationship between manufacturing output and the climate responsibility? Can the two genuinely reinforce each other?
See, if you look at the UN Charter on Sustainability, climate change is definitely one of the priority areas. But also there is an element of conscious consumption. If today we can extend the life of a vehicle, you have reduced the footprint by almost 60-70%. So I would say the single largest element which contributes to climate change is the use and throw psychology, where people are now getting conscious is they are trying to arrest the impact on climate change, but not changing the habit of production and consumption.
Right.
So producers will produce what makes profit for them, so they depend on consumption. I think a consumer, if he is conscious, and a policy maker, if he is conscious, they will contribute in a very large way to make this planet, more healthy, more safe. Our manufacturing focus is not on so much of mindless production. We are only providing the tools.
Correct.
Where you are integrating cyber and physical, right? So what we are aiming at is to be able to give you the personalized or as close to a personalized product.
Correct.
But then we expect you to say that if we've given you what you wanted,
then
don't use it and throw it immediately.
Correct.
Keep it for that much longer.
Yeah.
So the virtue of personalization is what our technologies bring.
Yeah.
Its misuse is something which falls in the domain of conscious customer.
True.
Similarly, the use of our technology is in being able to control the energy consumption at the point in which the energy is being consumed. It is being so it gives you all those virtues to eliminate waste. I think eliminating waste is one of the most powerful ways in which you build a sustainable environment and contribute to a sustainable planet.
Right, right. So large corporations often have resources to invest in sustainability initiatives, but MSMEs operate under tight margins. How can sustainability be made practical and accessible for MSMEs rather than becoming an additional burden?
See, if I were to look at it from an MSME side and respond to the word sustainability, I'll be first worried about the sustainability of my business. So my context of sustainability is a little around my business. And naturally, I would like to gravitate towards that responsibility before I say I'll take the responsibility of sustainability for the environment. So Our first hope is that the MSMEs, they don't work, in isolation. They're all part of a supply chain of larger organizations. So the learning about healthy practices, good manufacturing practices, eliminating waste, if that can happen across the board in the operations of MSME, I think they will be better positioned once they are on a stronger foot on production per se, a stronger foot on building quality right, to then naturally take the next step of consciousness, which is take responsibility of sustainability around them.
You wrote that India must prepare as a marathon team, not a sprint team on LinkedIn. What does this mean in context of India's manufacturing future? Where do you see India's long-term strengths and vulnerabilities?
See, the buzz these days is about IT. When people talk about technology, they're actually talking about information technology, data-driven systems, machine learning, artificial intelligence, etc. And data can move at very fast speeds. With internet, we all know that. We are now at 5G, we are talking about 6G.
Yeah.
So speed becomes a kind of a virtue when you talk about data transfer.
Yeah.
But if you talk about the brick and mortar business,
Right.
Obsolescence is not a virtue. You set up this building, you want it to last for 100 years. Yeah, you don't want to demolish it after 20 years and set up something afresh. It's too expensive. Not only for us, it's also detrimental to environment. Right?
Correct.
In manufacturing, you're dealing with cyber physical systems where you have intelligence which is captured, which is available to people anywhere, and yet you have physical processes which have to run at their normal speed. So if you have a reactor, you have a rolling mill, you have a blast furnace, you have a milk plant, you have to allow the chemistry and the physics to play out. You can't just push it.
Correct.
Without causing some negative impact.
Correct.
When you are dealing with the brick and mortar industry, therefore, you have to realize that your challenges are not about speed, but it's about quality, eliminating waste,
Right.
energy conservation, precision manufacturing. These are hard habits to acquire.
Correct.
And running fast is not the way out. Running sensibly is the way out. Being conscious of the fact that you have to set up a 360-degree view.
Correct.
On your operations, which fortunately control systems and automation systems give. And with digitalization, you have the power to get insight and data available to people wherever they may be.
Yeah.
So this is a stage where we can actually use it not only for controlling the process, but for empowering people. And that's why I call it a marathon.
Correct.
Have your operators gain from the insight which the process is throwing back through the dashboard.
Yeah.
Let the operators grow and become supervisors.
Right.
Let the supervisors grow and become managers.
Right.
Let the managers grow and become, the strategic guys. So this is how you build the next generation. But if you split the game and talk only about technology, you'll have a breed of engineers coming in saying, I only want to do AI algorithms.
Yeah.
So that's again creating a benchmark. And therefore, I feel that if you look at the game in marathon, you will not make the mistakes of running too fast and then
Absolutely.
developing a fatigue.
Yeah.
So one of the things I do find about the AI race is there's an intellectual laziness amongst humans.
Yeah.
Some things which they ought to learn to do through their mind
Right.
on the piece of paper,
Yeah.
Sitting in a wonderful place like this,
Right.
getting insights, thinking about it,
Yeah.
mulling over it.
Right.
You want it at the flash of a button, so you ask your AI agent to give it to you.
Right.
Well, that's okay occasionally, but if that becomes your habit, you will lose out on your ability. You will not be able to run a marathon.
As per the statistics, if 8 out of 10 Indian factories are MSMEs and contribute 35 to 40% to manufacturing output of India, do you believe India's smart manufacturing will begin from small workshops than the mega factories, unlike Europe and US?
Also, let's add that the MSMEs contribute to more than 60% of the workforce employed. For me, that should be the most powerful indicator. We're talking about human empowerment, right? So if your maximum employment comes from that sector and you focus on empowerment of those people, you'll have more than enough skilled people to work for them and work for the bigger organizations. In many ways, there is reason to focus on MSME. But what happens when technology gets built and absorbed? Initial costs are very high. The absorption immediately is never justified at small scale. It is justified if you have a large plant to manage, like a steel plant, where the stakes and the risks are very high.
Yeah.
So there is a natural adoption in the large sector. There is also a kind of a DNA of small enterprises, which is very personalized way of working. Verbal communication, changing strategies midstream. In that environment, to have robust systems is going against the tide. So it takes a while for the MSMEs to begin to realize that no, if I have to be in the game for long, if I have to change my customer profile also, I have to get into precision manufacturing. Now, without automation, you can't do precision manufacturing. Without being in precision manufacturing, you can't expand your customer base from domestic customers to international customers. You can't get more money in the, let's say, industrial market. So you want to branch out into space and defense. You need to develop all those competencies. Correct? Now, that's the time when you really have to start also investing into bigger machines. When you start investing into bigger machines, you are actually now building your experience around the same experience as a large enterprise, which has no difficulty in acquiring big machines or sophisticated machines. So when you start graduating from manual lathes to advanced multi-axis CNC controlled machines, you're naturally now confronting a new animal, and where you see technology and where you see a different role for the human. So that's when slowly the DNA also begins to change. And then it's easier to then look at the entire environment and say, okay, now as I grow, I know what virtues I need to build, what is the value of data, how I need to sweat my assets in the right way, and how this adds to my profit. Ultimately, the entrepreneur will move to ways in which he gets more profit. There are very eminent entrepreneurs who are wanting to go global. So we have this new slogan coined from MSME
Correct.
to MNC. That is, I think, going to be the pivot. If people can begin to accept an SME becoming a MNC, I think the vision, the roadmap, absorption of technology, investment in skills, all that is going to happen in a clear-cut manner.
So why does smart manufacturing matter now more than ever for India? What are the forces? Is it global competition, reshoring, technology, or the environment we have right now that makes the right moment for us?
We are now globally connected. So we have aspirations to produce global quality products.
Yeah.
If we have that capability, then the global market is also something we can cater to. So when you are stepping up the game, using the next set of technologies is very natural.
Right.
That's one point. The second point is it also, in a way builds more efficiency. As I said, reducing the wastages, balancing the energy consumption, effluent discharge, controlling all of that.
Right.
And the other thing which I would say peculiar to India, because we grew the last decades on the basis of services and IT.
Right.
If we have to have growth based on manufacturing, then manufacturing arena itself should appear attractive.
Right.
Not only to the engineers, but also to the corporates, the stock market, everybody.
Right.
And for that to happen, you got to have a new look, not just external look, which are clean factories,
Right.
but also efficient factories, smart production systems, the digital work environment. So all those virtues which make it attractive for people to give their careers to manufacturing,
Right.
they have to all pull in the same direction. That's, I would say, the competition within our country between sectors. And if manufacturing has to contribute more percent towards our GDP growth, we have to make it attractive in every which way. On a smaller level, it would be the integration of design and manufacturing. With consumers wanting rapid changes, smarter products, new variants.
Right.
The entire cycle from design, going beyond manufacturing right up to disposal.
Right.
So design to disposal is what the new cycle is. And for that to be integrated with the supply chain, again, you need a very smart infrastructure.
Right.
So that's another reason why this is going to pick up.
And when we talk about MSMEs, what specific support do MSMEs need? Do they need skills, platforms, mentorship, ecosystems to modernize? What do you think?
They need everything, but they need to be given prominence.
Right.
I think the time has come for us not to bracket them as small or medium,
Yeah.
but to introduce the quality of Samarth.
Yeah.
So as long as you're dealing with anybody,
Right.
if he's Samarth,
Yeah.
you don't bother about his scale, right?
Yeah.
He's meeting your need. So if they are seeing themselves not limited by their size, but as Samarth, If they get large opportunities, they'll collaborate.
Yeah.
If they need to step up on innovation, they will step up on innovation.
Right.
So I think it's more of a mindset game, that because I am doing everything myself, I can't take bigger risks.
Right.
So small and being isolated, I think somewhere that equation needs to be taken apart.
Yeah.
You need to develop the mindset that we are all aspirational. There are things we can do individually which will limit our growth.
Yeah.
But if we do collectively, which brings us back to the virtue of collaboration.
Yeah.
So then the growth story can be more rapid.
What is one misconception about smart manufacturing that FSM aims to correct? Is it that it is expensive, complex, only for large industries?
See, we have a motto, a baseline under our logo which says Smart Manufacturing Simplified.
Yeah.
So our biggest challenge is to present things in a simplified manner.
Right.
That's where the decision to adopt comes.
Yeah.
With anyone, whether it is a small enterprise or a large enterprise. If things look too complicated,
Yeah.
There is a general resistance and to say, okay, let's wait out. But when they start with certain basic principles which are simple to understand,
Right.
then the vision and the execution becomes kind of more closely aligned. There has been a lot of jargon, I would say a lot of overuse of jargon. So everybody will have their own definition of smart manufacturing.
Right.
In much the same way as everybody will have their own definition of Industry 4.0. The vendor will propagate whatever products and services they have, which in most cases will not reflect the entire basket. So here we have the privilege of having all the technologies in place,
Correct.
in connection, working in a coordinated manner.
So like a brand agnostic.
Not only brand agnostic, it is saying what is the impact of a digital twin,
Right.
what is the impact of an AR or a VR application
Right.
on an assembly line which has got an IoT running.
Correct.
So to be able to show multiple technologies at play, it de-risks the imagination and the mistakes of that in the prospective customer's mind.
Right.
Our human body is so complex, right? If you start looking at it from a doctor's perspective,
Right.
you have to spend 5-6 years trying to understand it.
Correct.
But when you can relate to it very simply, that you have 5 senses and they work in coordination, you don't have to worry about how the blood flows and how your hair grows,
Yeah.
or how the audio signal gets converted into something which the brain can comprehend.
Right.
You can see a response to certain stimulus.
Right.
Similarly, here in our demonstration centers, we can create some stimulus and we can show the response of a smart system. That's what people understand.
Yeah.
That's what the mind understands.
Yeah.
Now, if that is what you are looking at, if that clearly fits into a use case
Right.
which you are facing in your business,
Right.
well, you know that this is the dish you need to have it on
Yeah.
your plate.
Yeah. You have always emphasized the human side of technology. How does FSM balance technical demonstration with human transformation?
See, this center is more about the technical demonstration.
Yeah.
The human side comes when we interact with that community which doesn't have this facility. So our interactions with other academic institutions, our ability to be patient with those faculty which haven't had the exposure which an IIT faculty has, our ability to understand the dynamics of an MSME, and more particularly for us to go below the engineer level, the level of the technicians or the operators is where this whole thing will play out much more. So that's something which is a work in progress. I would say we are on that journey, but we have many miles to go.
How important is emotional intelligence in industrial transformation?
See, we are talking of a community of people, whether within an enterprise or within an ecosystem, and we're talking about shared goals. So, emotional intelligence plays a big role for you to connect, collaborate, and co-create, and communicate. Without that, you cannot play a coordinated game. You can be sitting in front of your desktop. You can be working on an algorithm. You don't need any emotion to handle the computer. But you do need emotional maturity to handle other people. And we have everyday instances of, tasks, promises, statements, responses. You got to be able to first balance yourself. When you can balance yourself, then you probably create an environment in which people will then come and want to collaborate and cooperate and grow with you.
So FSM has impacted thousands of students and professionals. But personally, what is the dream you still hold for FSM that hasn't been realized?
I think the dream is that people still relate to FSM as this physical space. Whether it's the work we've done on IIT campus or it's some other facility we've supported in some other campuses. I'd like foundation for smart manufacturing be a quality which is imbibed by people. It should not be confused with the name. So that is also going to give us perpetuity in one sense. That if people understand the founding elements for smart manufacturing, then this name gets a life of its own. So I think that's the unfulfilled dream.
And finally, sir, what gives you hope for India?
Oh, we are a blessed country, and we have young people, and I think the intent of India as a nation generally has to do with our culture, which is accommodate multiple streams of thinking, multiple streams of language, multiple streams of religion, multiple streams of other thought processes, multiple weather. So in being able to embrace diversity, I think we have the ability to be steadfast. And as I said, India is well suited for a marathon.
Yeah.
You know, we are not like Singapore or some other tiny country which can be transformed in 10 years.
Yeah.
We are that elephant
Right.
which has started moving.
Right.
And once an elephant starts moving, very difficult to stop it.
Sure.
So I think we are on that path.
Sure.
We will continue to be on that path, and that's what makes me optimistic.
Let's end it on this positive note. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
sir, for your time. It was a pleasure speaking.